All right, everybody, welcome back to the Sporting Chance podcast. Be sure to check out sportingchancepod.com for all your flyest new Sporting Chance pod merch. If you're anything like me, you struggled for a while trying to find a source for performance canines. Well, look no further. Check out Clover Creek Canine on Facebook for your performance canine needs. For your East Coast and micro hawking needs, hit up mountainstatefalconrysupply.com. If you want to be cool like me this hunting season and fly a parent-reared goshawk, there's virtually no other source but our boy Seth Roy. Go to northmountaingoshawks.com to put your deposit down on next year's hunting partner. And while you're at it, go ahead and put an order in with the King of Tight, Richard Moats, maker of the tightest braided equipment at midnightfalconry.com. All right, everybody, welcome back to the Sporting Chance podcast. Today we are joined by Rhode Island falconer Christian Dutton. Welcome to the show, Christian.
Thanks, guys. How you guys making out? Good?
Yeah, man, we're happy to have you here. We were up in...
thanks for reaching out.
My pleasure, man. You got a cool thing going. We want to hear all about it.
Christian, you're a falconer.
Yep.
I think what's especially interesting about you and your falconry is that you are a micro specialist. Is that safe to say?
I'm getting better at it for sure. Still have a lot to learn. I am realizing, but I've sort of started steering towards the micro falconry. 5 years ago, I moved in. I bought a little airstream, and I've been living in a airstream for the last 5 years. So I did one winter with a red tail in there, and that was enough, man. I was like not too conducive to my situation having the bigger birds. So I started leaning towards the micro falconry and got this little kestrel and had a lot of fun with it. And now I'm trying to really get into the merlins and start to dial them in and see what I can get going with them.
You're flying a jack, right? Currently,
I am right now. He's molting and he's doing it pretty slow. He's got 2 more primaries on each wing to molt and hasn't started his tail yet, but I might pull him out of that. And once my kestrel is done molting, which will be another week or so, I'm going to get them both going again because it's a lot easier to have the kestrel and the merlin going at the same time because I get a lot of my training regiment through flying the kestrel. I get a lot of my baggies for the merlin from the kestrel, and once I get the kestrel really going, then it makes it a whole lot easier to do stuff with the merlin.
So for those of you out there listening who are not aware, so we have a lot of non-falconers that listen, a jack is a male merlin. Do either of you have any idea where that comes from?
Old European books and references.
They call a female a Jill.
No,
they should.
No,
Yeah,
and then
should.
a lot of the old European stuff is like we kind of bastardize it because technically a tiercel is only a tiercel peregrine, and the falcon is a female peregrine. You know what I mean? Like, and we call every male bird a tiercel.
What about a hen? Big female red tail, a hen.
Yeah, that's a southern farmer term. I don't think anybody in Europe was called them.
Have you guys ever heard that before? A hen red tail?
Oh yeah, all the time. Yeah, a lot of people use it. I've used it before.
Okay, it's pretty common down here, but yeah, they also say tiercel male red tail. And for those of you out there listening, a tiercel is any male bird, with the exception of a jack and a musket. Is there anything else?
Technically, like I said, a tiercel is only a tiercel peregrine from what I from the books.
But you'll hear us say, "Oh, I'm flying a tiercel red tail. It's a male red tail."
But yeah, I think musket, jack. I feel like jerkin.
Jerkin, that's right.
Isn't a jerkin a male? A male jeer is a jerkin, right?
I can't hear jerkin and not think of Eminem saying I'm jacking off with jerkins, but this whole bag of Viagra isn't working.
Maybe he likes falconry. Who knows?
Maybe.
I think he was a falconer, Eminem.
Really? Yeah. No way. For real?
Probably not.
Oh, I got excited for a second.
It's well known. Yeah. So the kestrel is your workhorse, Christian. That's what you're telling us?
Yeah, it's my workhorse, and it's my fun bird because I haven't really gotten to a point with the merlin that I would like to be at. So when I want to go falconing in a sense and, actually accomplish what I'm setting out to do, then yeah, the kestrel's always a lot of fun. He's pretty much like clockwork. After work, I'll just grab him and go look for some starling, and he's pretty money in that sense. He kills a lot of starling, that bird does.
How many years have you had him?
I got him in June, so 3 full years I've had him. Had him for 3 full years. The first year, I just kind of was entering him on sparrows just to get him used to killing things, learn how to use his feet and stuff a bit. But once he figured that out, I pretty much solely just only fly him on starling, and that's sort of my plan with the merlin. You don't have to worry about carrying so much, and it's a little bit more of a, as you guys know, flying your birds, it's a little more of an admirable fight for them. The starling, they're nasty things.
I've never actually taken a starling, but I'm well aware that they'll fight back with their feet. They'll bite. Supposedly they can actually hurt a kestrel, huh?
Yeah, I was, when I was first entering my kestrel on starling, somebody I knew had told me on the first baggie to let the kestrel actually kill the starling just so he can make the association. And I only did that once, and I didn't even let him kill it because, like you said, they can be pretty dangerous things. I think that first baggie, I think that starling had the better headshot than the kestrel did. And after seeing that, it's sort of like squirrel with your red tails and, gosses as well. I'm sure you kind of want to get in there as quick as you can because they get pretty beat up. They get swarmed too. The starling all come down, and there's there will be 24 starling just kind of messing with your bird when he's on one starling. So they're pretty nasty things.
Not to mention the disgusting parasites that are inside of them.
Ugh, they are pretty dirty things.
Do you know anything about those?
The parasites?
Yeah.
No.
We like parasite talk on here.
Do you?
No, they're despicable. They're disgusting.
Yeah, they are pretty disgusting. And there's some that are a whole lot more disgusting looking than others. You get some that are just all pale and their beaks are all like whitish and just, they look sick, you know what I mean? And then you get some starling that are just really pretty and vibrant yellow beaks and stuff. And it makes you think a little bit when you're squeezing the ugly ones, like, help that starling population out, the gene pool, because they're struggling, I think, starling with their reproduction right now.
Tell us more about that. I know nothing about that. I've heard in Europe they're. Oh, you're joking.
Yeah, no, they're everywhere, and they're just rude. Because they don't stop.
What's funny is in Europe, they're actually like not doing great in Europe, where they're originally from. Yeah, their native range.
Yeah.
And so for those of you out there who aren't aware, I'm sure, the vast majority of you are, starlings are an invasive species that I'm guessing is for real. They were introduced from some sort of Shakespearean society that wanted to have all of the birds mentioned in his works in America? Do you believe that?
Sounds like a conspiracy. I feel like they just brought him over to like kill. I think that's a conspiracy.
I'm looking it up now. Shakespeare Starling introduction. So you guys have never heard that?
I've
No,
never
I didn't
heard.
know.
Yeah, I've never heard that. I just assumed that they brought them over for some utilitarian purpose.
All right, here we go. I got it. The introduction of the European starling in North America is often attributed to Eugene Schieffelin, a 19th century Shakespeare enthusiast who released them in 1890 to introduce every bird mentioned in Shakespeare's works. While he did release starlings, the popular story that he did so to fulfill a Shakespearean mission is widely accepted as a myth. According to historians and bird researchers, the actual introduction was more likely a result of ongoing bird introductions and acclimatization efforts by various groups, including the American Acclimatization Society. Never heard of that.
Wow. Huh.
Let's figure out what that is. The American Acclimatization Society, okay, was a group founded in New York in 1871 dedicated to introducing European flora and fauna into America. That's a trip.
Wow. Yeah, no kidding.
So yeah, you've got them to thank for your starlings.
I do.
Without them, would you have falconry?
Yeah, we'd have some falconry probably. Not like the starlings that we have now, though, right?
And the sparrows?
And the sparrows, yeah. Although I don't mess with sparrows much at all. I mean, I'm trapping them right now just for bait birds, for trapping merlins. But aside from that, I try to stay away from them. I think it just creates all bad habits for the little birds.
Can you
tell us more about that?
Yes.
This flying micros that's a hole in my falconry.
Yeah, it's well, as you know, the biggest thing with maybe not the biggest thing, but carrying is a big issue that can become a real problem with the micro falcons, and probably all falcons if they're hunting smaller prey. But I've just always, everything I've read and everything I've been warned about was, right from the beginning training, using weighted lures and stuff like that is all to try and cut back on carrying as much as you can. And I just don't see any of these little birds not carrying sparrows, just because, the little birds, they don't want to stay on the ground any longer than they have to, because it's just such a dangerous place for them that I don't, you'd be really hard pressed to get a small bird not to carry sparrow. I mean, whether you can get the bird back after that is a different story. Maybe not as big of a deal if you've got some sort of technique of getting your bird back after it's eaten a sparrow up in the tree. But I've never really had much of an interest in hunting sparrow either. I've always just wanted to hunt starling. And if you get your bird too comfortable on sparrow, I think it's a lot more difficult to encourage them to go after starling, just because they know, and a lot of these birds, I don't think in the wild would be hunting starling. I know kestrels wouldn't be unless it was a total opportunistic situation. And as far as the merlins go, females probably, but I don't think jacks are hunting starling much in the wild either. So it's really something you kind of got to muscle them into a little bit. And once you get them comfortable on sparrow, it's a lot harder, I think, to make that transition. Probably like you guys with your goshawks, right? I mean, there's theories behind entering your bird on certain quarry before others, just, so that they are a little more willing to do it on their own. That's correct, right?
My sponsor told me that when we hunt squirrels, we're kind of like big game hunting with hawks. That, of course, hawks like red tails and goshawks will take squirrels in the wild, but that's got to be like on the tougher end of prey for them.
Yeah,
I think so. Go ahead.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think starling are the same way. I always kind of categorize or compare starling to squirrel in that sense because they're nasty. They're really scrappy. They're kind of, you know, they're hard to hunt, and you gain a real appreciation. I mean, when I was hunting squirrel with my red tail, you go from just looking at squirrel as being these little fucking furry critters that are everywhere to being like, wow, these things are pretty impressive creatures, once you see them bail from 60 feet up or like just you squeeze it for 15 minutes and cut the leg off and then the thing still takes off on you, it's like, what is going on? So
yeah, it's like a risk versus reward thing. It's like, every bird would love to like just crush a quail. It's like they're not in any risk. It's like super tempting. It's instinctual to kill something like that, moving like that. But then you want them to chase a squirrel, corkscrewing around a tree, and then the squirrel on top of that will bite them, and they learn that, and it's the same. Yeah, like you said, it's the same correlation. Like, why would I deal with this prey that could potentially injure me or put me in harm's way when I could just catch this little pathetic sparrow and just be done with it? You know what I mean? It makes sense. I mean, sparrows fight back too.
Yeah,
they're nasty suckers, but not like a starling.
No, I mean, my kestrel, he'll get a starling, and I'll get to the both of them, and it's just the two of them are screaming, both of them for their pals to come help. The starling's screaming for all his buddies to come intervene, and the kestrel's screaming, telling me to hurry the hell up because he's tired of getting footed usually because he's pretty good at getting headshots now, which, like all the birds, the more of them they kill or get, the better they seem to have aim at where they're grabbing them. Seems to be the case, and the starling are no different in that sense. When I'm given this merlin baggies, starling baggies, it's a whole lot more difficult for me to dispatch the starling or even just do things smoothly because the starling and the merlin are still kind of just like footing at each other and just kind of where the kestrel, every time I go in on the kestrel, it's sort of like he's got a headshot and got control of the bird and everything's kind of going smooth. But with the merlin, he's still sort of trying to grab at it, and the kestrel, the starling's biting me and biting him, and it's just sort of like a real confusing little situation in the palm of my hand where with the kestrel everything sort of seems to already be figured out by the time I get there, which I think just goes from experience for the kestrel of getting so many of them because the merlin's still figuring that stuff out with them. So
how many starlings do you think your kestrel has taken over the years?
Ooh. We slowed down a fair bit in I call it the off season, though there is no season with the starling because they're an invasive species. I usually am not hunting the kestrel probably from I'd say the end of June until the end of September. That's usually when he molts. But the prime time for starling is where I am in Rhode Island anyway, is May and June. End of April, May and June is really thick with starling. And, I'll take probably, this year anyway, I got probably, I would say maybe 60 starling in those 3 months, those April, May, and June. And very rarely is it doubles. I actually
usually
didn't even start pulling the kestrel off of the starling until I wanted them for baggies for the merlin. Prior to that, I would, the numbers weren't really a big thing for me. And I kind of just let them eat a little bit and transfer when he was, when it was a smooth transfer rather than fighting with him. But at this point, that bird is totally made, and he doesn't get offended if I am a little more aggressive taking him off of things than I really should be. But yeah, this year was definitely my best. When I say year, I'm just referring to those 3 months because because I'll hunt them throughout the winter and things. It's just, it really starts to get a lot harder to find starling. They're still around, but it's pretty easy pickings in those 3 months when that's when they've got eggs and they're nesting and stuff. The parents are on the ground a lot getting food for the babies and things like that. So, maybe 50, 60 in the past couple years. And then this year I've probably got about 60 in those 3 months. And I'm going to start going again pretty hard with the kestrel once he's done molting, maybe a couple weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you think you might get I don't know, up to 100 this year, or you?
That'd be a nice goal.
Yeah.
That'd be, and again, it's with the merlin, it encourages me or motivates me a little bit more because I haven't gotten the merlin free flying yet, and I think I messed up a little bit last year with him. I had the merlin after I trapped the merlin. I had him creance trained and ready for free flight. But starling aren't really around a whole lot then. So I was going to winter the bird over and wait until April, May when starling were really thick so that I could give him a lot of easy slips versus long slips and more difficult slips. And he didn't really retain the field training that he had. And I started bagging him, and he was doing good on the baggies and stuff. But as far as field training, every time I'd take him outside, he was just such a sketch pad and so concerned with everything that was going on around him that it was just like a freshly trapped bird, So I got to take a few steps back here and start with field work again with him and get him a little bit more comfortable being outside because I haven't had a lot of merlins. I don't know whether it's just this one's personality in particular, but man, he is real attentive to what's going on around him, and it makes it a little more difficult to get him focusing on what you want him to be focusing on.
Yeah, I mean, it's like with guys, it's like pretty much any bird. It's the tiercel is always more high strung, more skittish, more of a pain in the ass in their own head. So that makes perfect sense for the most part. And so how are you planning to fly that merlin?
You know what? I'm going to car hawk that merlin too, I think.
Oh, I mean, dude, people are freaking out right now listening to this.
I was just going to say, I'm not telling people that that's what anyone should be doing or whether it's the right thing to do or the wrong thing to do. And, I'm aware that merlins don't need the advantage of the automobile for slips, but neither do Cooper's hawks, and I've seen a lot of people throwing them out the window. But what I will say with the kestrel is I've missed a lot of slips just because the kestrels aren't good enough. I mean, you got, I don't know, say 50, 60, 70 yards or something is probably a pretty legitimate slip for a kestrel. And I'm not talking about driving, with this kestrel, I do some pretty urban falconry with them, that's not necessarily what I'm thinking with the merlin, but we've got a few spots that I fly starling, and you throw the kestrel out the window at the best opportunity that you have, and it's just like it ain't good enough, but I would love to see these merlins tail chasing, a handful of starling that see him come in like a few seconds. There's there's so many slips that I'm just like, if I had a merlin on that slip, I would have gotten it, and it's not necessarily that I think the merlin needs the advantage, or I know the merlin doesn't need the advantage of car hawking, but that's really what I've started focusing on with the merlin, just because I'm doing it so much with the kestrel that a lot of my spots are conducive to that. And just, I'm trying to incorporate all of the things that I've learned from flying the kestrel and transfer it over to being successful with the merlin versus trying something completely new with the merlin and learning all of it together. So I've got a couple farms that I'll put the merlin up and then, throw a rock onto the roof of the barn or something and get the starling to bugger off and maybe get a cut. But as far as stoop flying and stuff, I hadn't thought about it much. Maybe once I get a little more dialed in with the species actually and learn more about them, then I can start expanding my falconry with flying the merlins. But for now, I'm planning on throwing that thing out the car window.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I don't see any problem with it. I just know how like the merlin community is. They're like a bunch of snobs basically, which fair enough. The murmuration flights and stuff like that with merlins is like pretty much the highest level and waiting on you can get with a merlin. I never did that.
Yeah.
I just hunted them from the trees and kind of like nonchalantly following on in the air and then catch stuff that way. And that's not picturesque, but I mean, at least to get like you said, to get your head around the bird itself, get a couple kills under its belt, and then maybe, start slipping it from 500 yards away and watching a beautiful flight. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Like
Makes sense.
I'm not maybe at first, the first couple flights, just to get the birds, whistle a little wet, I'll give them some easy slips. But my thought is, we've got a couple spots where, you've got starling that are, 100 yards away or something. And you can only get so close to them. So that's a little bit more what I'm thinking. But again, that's maybe not for everybody, but I also live in Rhode Island. And as far as huge murmurations of starling and stuff, that's, I don't really have half a dozen farms that I can drive to and have 1,000 starlings spinning around up in the sky, so it's a little bit of a different situation for me.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, you're doing the best you can.
To your point earlier, dude, the merlins, the only ones I've ever actually seen in the wild were random. Well, for a couple winters, there was a merlin that was hanging out in a field here. But out in Kansas, you'll see merlins that'll take up residence in like a stand of trees in the middle of the prairie. So like a graveyard or something like that. Virtually the only place in town that has trees, and they'll just live there and they'll hunt out of those trees. They'll fly out of the tree line, go grab a bird, bring it back, eat it. So that's kind of how I'm used to seeing them hunt in the wild anyways. Do you really think they're busting up murmurations in the wild?
I mean, they definitely are 100%. Most of the murmurations that you actually witness are because of some small falcon pestering them or a Cooper's hawk trying his hand at catching them. But I think for the everyday falconer, I don't think a lot of people I think very few people are doing murmuration flights. And for me personally, like, unless I lived out west and it was like land, miles of land that I knew I could just drive my truck on to get my bird back, like, I don't really have any interest in that. Because you're watching this murmuration. It's not like it's like staying over the farm you have permission on. Like, it's going to be 3 farms away where your bird's going to catch it. And then it's going to carry it to a tree, and then you got to go over and call it down or wait till it caches. You know what I mean? It's probably the most beautiful type of merlin falconry, but in terms of like a practical, like keeping your bird alive, getting there in a timely fashion, having permission to get there, it's kind of like it adds way more wrinkles to it. I think, I don't know about car hawking. I think that's a little dicey, but I think
You think so? I think
with a
field
merlin
are more dangerous.
No, I'm not talking about. No, I don't mean like that. I just mean like, like as an abomination to the species.
Oh, okay.
I think
you're saying Christian's not going to earn any fans from the Merlin people with this.
If he posts a video of him slipping a Merlin out of the window on a starling, people are going to just go crazy. But who cares? I mean, who cares?
I can't wait for that.
No, who gives a crap? Just fly the bird out of the, like you said, if the bird's a little skittish, a little spazzy, give it some real easy close slips. I know guys that do that with their goshawks, so they can, everybody can shut the heck up. I know guys that have goshawks that spent the first months of the training and hunting just slipping them out of the window on stuff just to get that kind of like prey thing down. And then the bird turns into a complete monster and then they fly it traditionally from the fist or from the trees or whatever. So I think if you're going to start that way, I don't see any problem with it. And then, then you could see a flock of starlings out there. You can get out of the truck, put the transmitter on, stand there, let it sit, rouse, see the starlings off in the distance, and then, off to the races. And then you got to go find the friggin' thing.
That's it.
Christian, where did you get your Merlin? I've got starlings on the brain.
This Merlin that I have right now, Dennis trapped last October when he was out peregrine trapping, and I had a jack at the time that I was planning on releasing, and he asked me if I was interested in it, and that was prior to us starting our Merlin trapping down here. Or actually, it was right in the beginning of trapping season. So I said, sure, I'll grab the little bird and mess with it for a bit and see what kind of bird it is, because again, Merlins are pretty new for me, and I don't know whether you'd say coaching, or I've heard from people that and through some readings, some Merlins will just never amount to a falconry bird. It's, some just will never make the transition to be a falconry bird, which is why I guess some people often hang on to a couple fresh trap Merlins, and see which one's going to work out, because some of them just don't come around. I know you can say that about most birds, but it seems like the Merlin in particular, some of them just won't ever become falconry birds. They'll never regain the glove when they start baiting, and they just are real touch holes, or again, maybe self-mutilation or something like that, where I don't know whether that's necessarily the case with other birds of prey, but it seems like that's a particularly common thing in Merlins, is just to get a couple of them, and because they're not all going to work out. So yeah,
what do you think that's about, the self-mutilation?
What's it about?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe boredom. Maybe
they're just trying to get attention.
Yeah. Yeah. Who knows? Dumbness. Right. I don't know.
They want you to ask if they're doing okay. What's wrong? What's going on?
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's it. So
just kidding, everybody.
That's one of the downsides.
I will say too, in regards to the other comment, because like you said, I'm sure I'm not going to make any fans car hawking the Merlin, but I mean, what do they say, right? Don't knock it till you tried it, right? So With that being said, I also feel a lot like, and I'm not saying by any means that this is what other people are doing, but I feel a little bit more of a connection with my bird, be a little bit more involved in the hunt versus, looking from 3 miles away with binoculars or something. And just, I mean, it's like you could be a bird watcher and do that, right? And not have to weigh your bird and cut its weight. And I'm not saying, I mean, it's an awesome thing. I'm not taking anything away from the guys doing that, because that really is how these birds are meant to be flown. But just in my defense on that level, you're really engaged in the hunt a lot more, and it's sort of like, I don't know, you could do it with a red tail, you could do it with a goss or whatever. You got a transmitter on it and you put it up in the wood lot and find it 45 minutes later with a half-eaten squirrel. It's sort of like, yeah, cool, but You were no part of it. You didn't see anything. You know, all of the work that you put into it was really just driving your bird to a woodlot where there was something for it to catch. So I've got a little bit of that feeling in me, you know, just a little bit more of a connection, a little bit, you know, actually putting the bird on safe and fun slips for it. You know, again, like we said, it's not just going to be throwing the bird out the window. I mean, I'm hoping that I get some nice long tail chases. We've got a lot of sod farms around where we are and stuff, but it's not like you've got hundreds of these things. You might have like 15 of them on the ground or something. It's not like you're going to bust up some murmuration, but you certainly can watch a merlin fly 100 yards across a sod field and stir these things up and just have it all go down that way. So
are you going to run GPS on it?
You know, I haven't haven't decided that yet.
Have you bought GPS yet?
No, I've never flown a bird with GPS.
I mean, merlins, I would definitely put. You got to have something on.
Pretty crucial. Pretty important.
Yeah, 100%. They just love to tail chase, and they'll just like I've had my birds just sitting in a tree, and a dove. You know how like a dove will just like fly past you like 100 miles an hour for like no reason. Yeah, I've had them just like leave the tree and just make chase on that bird for like just completely out of sight. And I'm like, oh, fantastic. You know what I mean? And it's like you don't have anything on it. It's just it's gone.
I think telemetry or GPS or something, like you're saying, is a must with the merlins. With the kestrel, I can't tell you how many times. Again, you know, it's hard to see a big bird when it's up in the tree right over your head. These little birds, especially if, you know, with the car hawking thing, sometimes, you know, sometimes it takes you like 10 seconds, 15 seconds to like get the car over to the side of the road and get out of the car. And maybe your bird ain't in the tree that you thought it posted up in. And when they're that small, you just kind of rely on them either to come back to the lure when you call them or the GPS, like you're saying. So, yeah, I agree 100%. I'm not by any means saying that it's a good practice or it's something that I'm planning on religiously doing. I am gonna fly it with GPS. I'm just in the beginning stages of my merlin. I don't want to say I feel like I've outgrown the kestrel just because, I mean, you could go so many places with the kestrel, and there's people who have made, you know, a lifetime of understanding kestrels and flying kestrels. But I do feel like I'm ready to challenge my micro falconry a little bit with something that's a little bit more of a challenge than at least the kestrel that I have. I'm sure some kestrels can be real difficult also to get to do what you want, but I'm pretty fortunate with the one that I've got right now. And I don't want to get too complacent, and I'd also like to just start improving myself as a falconer with problems and situations and training techniques and just all of that stuff. So I'd like to start segueing into merlin solely.
That's good, man.
Since you want to segue into merlins, let's go back to kestrels.
Let's do it.
No, I asked where your merlin came from. Where did your kestrel come from? What's his origins?
So the kestrel that I've got, I went down to Pennsylvania and I got it from I pulled it from a nesting box. It's an imprint kestrel. So I pulled it from a nesting box over down near Seth Roy. He was kind enough to, I had been speaking with him about goshawks prior to that. Like I said, my situation had changed a lot and I moved into a camper and the goshawk thing kind of went out the window. And he had said that he was aware of a couple kestrel nesting boxes down near him. And I was interested in meeting Seth, and it was just sort of, you can kind of get kestrels a lot of places, or set up nesting boxes on your own. But I didn't have any set up, so I didn't have any ready at the hand. So I went down to Pennsylvania and met up with Seth and pulled this kestrel from a nesting box in his area.
Very cool.
Yeah.
That's got to be one of the longest lived falconry kestrels.
Yeah, someone asked me that once, like, what's the life expectancy for a kestrel? And I think in the wild, it's something like 2.5 years is like the average life expectancy for a kestrel. They're, they're like sexually mature and stuff in mating their first year, where a lot of birds don't do that. I guess you got to, though, if you want to keep the species around. If you're only going to live to be 2, then you got to get busy when you're 1, right?
Yeah, those are words to live by right there, baby.
Yeah, for sure.
You got to get busy by 1 if you're only going to live to 2.
You like that, don't you, Aaron?
I do. I'm going to have to remember that one.
And they have a lot of offspring too, right? They'll have like 5, 6 iyas in a box in a nest.
I think
an Erie, excuse me.
Erie. Yeah, I think they can have something like that. There were only a couple. There were, I think, 2 or 3 in the nest that I got my bird from, but there were also a couple eggs that hadn't hatched yet, whether they were going to hatch or whether they were just gonna never amount to anything. I don't know. I never asked Seth what came of that, but yeah, it was really nice going down there, and Seth was really nice to, afford that opportunity to me.
Yeah, he's a very generous dude.
Yeah, he sure is.
Yeah, you have to bow and kiss the ring when you get there, but after that, it's all good.
Yeah. Make sure you're not wearing your groundhog costume when you come up the driveway or something too. I think
no, he'll blast you from a mile away, or one of his drones will take you out if you don't have if you don't have permission.
Drones scan you on the way in.
Yeah, they scan you, and then if you're not permitted to be on the premises,
check you for arms.
It just drops a grenade on you from like 2 miles up in the sky and blows you. No, I was talking to Seth today. He's the best. He's a wealth of knowledge, knows what he's talking about, and he's very generous. Yeah, can't say enough about it. Our boy Seth Roy, NorthMountainGoshawks.com.
That's right.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, that's great, man. Yeah, I've never flown a kestrel, believe it or not. I really don't have the slightest interest in flying one for whatever reason. I have no idea why. I just don't have an interest. They're awesome, but
you must not want to go viral.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Christian, you're trying to go viral. Just start posting some car hawking videos.
Man, I don't do anything on the computer. I no Instagram, no nothing. I don't even have an email, Casey.
Good for you.
Are you serious?
That's why I just stayed late at work tonight to do this. I don't even have a computer.
Dude, good for you, man. Now they can't track you. They can't influence you.
I don't have to read about all the bad things people are saying about me car hawking my Merlin.
Exactly. You get to just enjoy your life and just live in ignorance is bliss.
Well, we'll relay all that to you, okay?
Yeah, make sure you do.
So,
but what I will say is when I get one of them Merlin going, I'll bring you guys out, and I'm sure, it'll be, if my imagination proves to be correct, it's going to be a pretty sweet thing.
Yeah.
I think it'd be cool, man. You've got to figure it out with the kestrel, and there's, of course you can continue doing what you're doing and catch plenty of starlings, but you want to try different things and push the envelope. So why not, man? Have fun with it.
Yeah, and again, I'm not opposed to flying the Merlin other ways. I'm just going to segueing into the Merlins. I'm going to use all the knowledge and experience that I've got with the kestrel and utilize that in a sense that helps me start learning the Merlin a little bit. And once it may not take a whole lot of time before I'm like, oh wow, yeah, no, gotta fucking take a totally different approach to this. It's just not what you were thinking it was going to be. And at that point, I'm happy to drop the idea and try something else. But I'm not afraid of trying something that other people don't necessarily approve of. That's fine. I've certainly not thrown the bird across intersections like I do with the kestrel and stuff like that. It'll be a bit more of a rural kind of car hawking thing, that I'm hoping to do with the merlin, and we'll see where that goes from there.
Is there another species of bird that you would like to try one day in your situation?
I'd love to fly a Sharpie. They're difficult, I've heard, very difficult, and difficult to get your hands on them. And really, like I said, I live in this small camper, so at the moment, the only birds that I really have the opportunity to maybe mess with, although Seth did try and convince me that I could keep a goshawk comfortably in the camper, and I was
I'm
just
sure.
like, I don't know, man.
Probably a tearful, right?
So, but no, I right now I think the micro falcons and small hawks and things are really my only opportunity until my situation changes a little bit. Not having a muse and stuff, I go up to Maine with you guys and always check out the goshawks are real intriguing and cool as hell to everybody. They should be, especially when you see them in the wild. It kind of puts it all into perspective. Maybe one day down the road, try flying a goss. I did an imprint Cooper's hawk years ago, and had limited success with that. But red tails are a lot of fun. They're always something nice to, you say, go back to, only because they're so accessible, but there's nothing shy about red tails. I mean, squirrel hawking and rabbit hawking with them is as fun as doing that with any bird, I think.
We did an episode with this falconer from Florida, George Blanco, who really pushes red tails to their limits and has kind of turned me on to the idea that it's not an idea, it's a fact that red tails are more diverse hunters than we give them credit for. If you watch a lot of the nest cams, including the one at Cornell, they eat a lot of birds. They catch a lot of birds. And that's pretty much exclusively what he does, is he flies a red tail on small waterfowl down in Florida.
Pretty cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And somebody has said along the way, maybe it was me or Casey, maybe it was a guest. At any rate, I think it's true, is we kind of take them for granted because they're so accessible. They're in every state. Anyone, any of us could probably go out tomorrow and trap a red tail if we really wanted to.
Right.
But if we didn't have them like that, we'd be fiending for them.
We would. It's a nice bird to have at the ready for most of us, because like you said, they are fun to fly, and they've got a lot of different things you can catch with them. So they're impressive birds. I like them. Like you said, though, I think they're just overlooked a little, just because they're such, you see them around so often. You don't get that mystique about them. They're just like, oh, red tail, red tail.
I was at the state picnic for the Falconers Guild here in North Carolina on Saturday, and every single bird there, with the exception of one Harris hawk, were red tails. There were like 10, 12 red tails tethered in the weathering yard. That's, they're pretty commonplace, but what are you going to do, right?
Yeah. They're fun.
Yeah, nothing beats a good red tail, in my opinion. I think you could push it as far as you want to push it, or keep it as laid back as you want, and still have fun and still have success. It's like one of those birds, where it's like you could put, a limited amount of effort in and still have success, or you can put like all the effort in and then have even more success and slope soaring and hunt from the fist and catch waterfowl and catch this and catch that. Like you could just keep going down the rabbit hole with red tails. Like you said, it's crazy.
You might even go to South Texas and catch a chacalaca.
Chocolate.
The chocolate red tail.
Wow.
No, we were talking about that. Apparently, there's a game bird in Texas called a chacalaca.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, you could catch a chacalaca with one.
Oh, with a red tail.
With a red tail.
Oh, I thought you were saying you were going out there to get yourself a chacalaca red tail.
That's what I thought, but I forgot. Me and Aaron
$5,000 to buy one.
No, I heard there's 7,000. Oh God, no. The chacalaca, for the listeners, look that up, man. That's a crazy bird. Like I didn't even know that existed in the United States. It's like this weird little like roadrunner turkey looking bird, and apparently it's like, Aaron, what is it, like open season on those things in certain areas?
I think based on what I read, yeah. And I think they're only in the Rio Grande Valley in Texas, though.
Dude, I think it's worth a trip. I don't know anything about them. What do they feed on? Where do they live? Like,
got no idea.
No, man.
It's a mystery.
We got to go down there and solve the mystery. Catch some chocolatas. But Christian, I kind of like, I don't know where Aaron wants to go, but I kind of want to know how you got into falconry. I know like usually people start with that, but we kind of
we're rebels around here.
Yeah, we do things differently around here. We're different.
Do it on your own.
Yeah. So, like, yeah, how'd you get into it? Who was your sponsor? Even though I know all the answers to those questions. But.
Yeah, right. So, in Rhode Island, so I got into it about 14 years ago. And 14 years ago, there weren't a whole lot of guys in Rhode Island where I live doing it. I think there were, I think there were maybe 3 falconers, 2 falconers at the time. One falconer held a permit, but was actually just a wildlife rehabilitator. So I was friends with Jimmy G, who so many people know, for good or bad. But I was friends with him and, hanging out over at his house, seeing his red tails out in the chamber and stuff like that. Always had a real appreciation for birds of prey and always was.
Did you know him before falconry?
What's that?
Did you know him before you got interested in doing falconry?
Just before. Yeah, we knew each other or of each other prior to that, but weren't necessarily friends. We did a bunch, surfing in similar areas. But I ended up.
Were you enemies?
No, that didn't come till later.
You don't want to be enemies with Jimmy G.
No,
that'd be a bad idea.
No, not for long. Anyway, I think most people go through that phase, though. I think you actually have to become an enemy of Jim's before you can actually become a friend of his.
I think that's true. You have to prove yourself worthy of his friendship.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. So, I think I was over at his house at a party one time, knowing that he was a falconer and stuff, and just always interested in birds of prey and, peeking through the bars of the Muse and then checking his bird out and going over there more often. And it was sort of, at first, it was like, oh, maybe I'll check this out, this falconry thing. And he was really the only one at the time who, I shouldn't say the only one. He was the only one in the area that would have been able to sponsor me without driving up to Massachusetts or maybe down to New York or New Jersey or something. And it was sort of an opportunity that I had. So I was interested in it. So I started just down the rabbit hole a little bit. It's like, all right, well, I'll take the test and whatever. If I pass it, doesn't mean I need to be a falconer, but at least that's the first step. So I did. I took the written test, and as I was studying and learning more about birds of prey, I just got more and more interested in it, and the fire just started getting bigger and bigger, under me to become a falconer once I started toying with the idea of doing it. So Jim was generous enough to sponsor me. I had never gone for a hawk walk or anything with him prior to that. So he he was kind of just taking a chance on me, which I really appreciate. And so he was willing to sponsor me. I did my 2-year apprenticeship under Jim. I think I was maybe the third or fourth falconer at the time in the state of Rhode Island. All of them had been apprentices of Jim's. So it was really like something I was interested in. And then the opportunity was really like right in my face. It's not like I had to drive 2 hours to meet up with my sponsor to ask questions or go for a hunt or something. I'd just be hanging out, drinking beers at Jim's house, and it would be like, thick with hawk talk and looking at hawks and stuff. And it really got my interest spinning a lot quicker than it probably would have if it wasn't right in my face. So I did that. He sponsored me for 2 years, and I finished my apprenticeship with him, and lucky to, still be good friends with him and live really close to him. And that sort of was where my falconry started, was hanging out with Jim and being exposed to it and learning from him. And he's an interesting person to learn from, because when you don't know, what would you say, when you don't know other approaches to the sport, or when you don't have a whole lot of other people giving you input, and you're just kind of learning from one person, you're not surfing the internet and seeing what a whole bunch of other people are doing, then you kind of are just doing what he tells you to do, and you're kind of mimicking his steps. And he is an approach where he's very hands-on with his birds, and he really lives with his birds. And you'd go over his house and he'd have a red tail sitting on the counter in the kitchen. And it's just not everybody's like that. A lot of people have their birds that are kind of like put away, and, they go and work with their birds and do all that. But he really, really lives with his birds, which made it a whole lot more interesting to me too. Just, he had twin daughters, still does have the twin daughters, but they were young at the time. And, they'd just be running around the house, and this red tail would just be sitting there looking at him. His beagle would be eating the scraps under the bow perch. And it was just all really fascinating to me. And that's sort of where I got my approach from. Not sort of, it's entirely where I got my approach in falconry. And I live with my birds pretty intimately as he does. And, it's not, if you have other people who live in the house with you, whether, they're roommates or a wife or whatever it is, it's not always everybody's cup of tea, for sure, to have things thawing out in the kitchen sink and, having birds flying around like you got right now, Casey, that owl behind you, it's like,
yeah, I'm going to cut him loose in a second here. He knows it's time to fly around the house. I'm lucky though, because my wife, it's the only bird she likes. But if I had a kestrel, she'd probably like that too.
Yeah.
Well, the kestrel, the longlings are the perfect birds for the airstream, because they're, they poop straight down instead of spraying it across a wall, just like the owl.
And they're streamlined.
They are. It's true. Like I said, I did one winter with a red tail in the camper, and it was not awesome. That's for sure.
You should get an imprint goshawk next.
Oh, that's a good idea.
It'd be perfect. You'd love it. It'd be great.
It would be perfect.
They just screaming its head off 24/7.
Just echoing in the airstream.
Just like reverberating, like nonstop.
But the kestrel, I can't even imagine with the goss, because the kestrel was loud for a little. Well, the kestrel's only loud when he's getting hungry. As far as an imprint goes, the thing's quiet. It don't say anything, but when it's hunting season, I can usually tell whether he's on weight or not without even weighing him. Just if he's making noise in the morning, he's hungry, he wants to go hunting. Otherwise, I know he's, heavy or whatever it is. But when he's noisy, it's like, Jesus, shut the hell up. You know what I mean? And it's just that thing fly him at like 95 grams, and you got a goshawk. It's just, I think I can hear Jim sometimes, and his is like 25 miles away, I think.
Yeah, it definitely goes pretty far. How are you perching these birds?
So right now I've got a pole perch that the kestrel's on right now, and I've got a little block perch. So in the camper I've got a kitchen table or a settee, whatever you want to call it. So I usually keep one of them on the table on a little block perch or a little bow perch, and then I keep the other one on the pole perch. Yeah, so
Do you
they're
just
good. The
alternate?
kestrel. Go ahead.
You just alternate?
I was alternating for a while, but they both have the kestrel does a lot better on the pole perch. He's a lot cleaner. The merlin, it's a pretty small pole perch too, but for some reason the merlin doesn't like to back off and mute off the edge. So the merlin will just mute right on the top of the pole perch and then fucking tromp around in it, and the lead, everything just gets nasty. So what actually happened was the merlin got bumblefoot on one of the toes. So I moved the merlin from the pole perch to a bow perch just so that he couldn't mute and be standing, and I'm not talking a dirty setup. I mean, it's always clean and stuff. It's just, man, that merlin would just shit right on the top of the pole perch all the time. So I moved the merlin to a bow perch on the table, and he adjusted perfectly, and he actually likes it a whole lot better there. He just chills on the perch, and he's way cleaner on the bow perch than the kestrel was. The kestrel used to hide his food and stuff and hide it behind the curtain, and it was just always, it was like I'd always have to clean up after him, where on the pole perch he sort of just got his little spot, and that's good. So I don't know whether you want to, I mean, I don't really chalk it up to being lazy. I chalk it up to observation and adjustment. But the kestrel's better on the pole perch right now. Yeah.
The micro birds in general are just so funny, like the way they act. Like, you see like a Sharpie mantling all angry. It's just like the funniest thing. Even I went to Tom's house, and he has an imprint merlin, and like, he's got hawk eagle, Siberian eagle owl, falcon, Tida falcon, screech owl, barn owl, whatever. And they're all on like screen perches. And then like they're all eating because it was feeding time. And the only bird that was being an asshole was the imprint merlin. Was like like with the Dracula, like all pissed off, man. It's like, dude, nobody cares about you. Just eat your food and just be done with it. But they're just, micros are just funny in that way. You ever try you're a woodworker. You ever try a shelf perch?
I've never tried a shelf perch, only because in the airstream, the way that the campers are made, there's not really, all the corners are rounded and all of the cabinets kind of like lift up like an airplane. So I don't even have room to hang pictures or anything in there. But I would, if I did have an area, a shelf perch would be something that I'd certainly put to work.
Yeah, I like a shelf perch. They're nice. They're a little harder to keep clean than like a pole perch with like a pan.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just like it. Maybe it's because every merlin I had, I kept them in my bedroom on a shelf perch. So it's like nostalgia to see a bird on a shelf perch for me.
Right.
But yeah, it's a pain in the ass because
a little wall decoration.
Yeah, it's like a wall. Yeah, you can like hang it. It like looks cool. There's a live bird on it.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. And I bet you'd make a badass one with what you do for a living.
Yeah.
So what do you do for a living? For those of you out there who must be curious now.
Yeah. I restore wooden boats. Bigger wooden boats, not too, don't do canoes and stuff like that. Mostly big stuff. I'm doing a 100-foot sailboat right now.
Don't sell yourself short. This guy restores like antique yachts for very wealthy people by hand. It's amazing.
Yeah. That's it. That's what I do. Yep. I'm working on a 100-foot sailboat right now, built in 1905. Been building that thing now, restoring it for, I don't know, maybe six 6 years full time. Had it here at the shop for about 10 years, picking away on it. But it's only been the last 5 or 6 years
restoring
that been
that
like
thing has been your full-time job for years, huh?
that boat. I've been working on that boat pretty much full time for almost 10 years now. But
is the owner getting impatient? Are they like, hurry the fuck up, dude?
Now he is. But part of the reason was he's got other interests. And these guys, it's not like his only boat. He's got half a dozen other boats that he's using too. I think he's just restoring it because he feels bad for us and wants to keep us in business or something, but or he loves boats, but it's not like he's got other it's really just so he can talk about it at the yacht club, who's got the best up and coming coolest thing going.
Yeah.
So he's starting to get
also
in a
got
rush
his
now.
falconry too. Jimmy's a busy guy.
Yeah.
Jimmy's a busy guy. He's also got his falconry to keep him busy. So I guess he's not too worried about having his yacht quite yet.
No, and his ice skating, that he's does. So
yeah, he does interpretive dance too. I heard he's really into that also on the side.
He's he's really getting into that. It's actually, I think, starting to cut into his falconry a little bit, but we'll see where that goes.
But
between the yacht and the ice skating,
yeah, it's really it's rough. Jimmy's got a lot on his plate.
He does, and it's a lot less than he used to have. He's
probably
do a lot
so
more,
pissed right now. Shout out Jimmy G, friend of the show, personal friend. He's the best.
No, I had him convinced. We went trapping Saturday. We went trapping and all day, because I think it was maybe Saturday morning you reached out, or Friday night that you had reached out. And Saturday morning when we were trapping, I told him, I said, yeah, Casey and Aaron, reached out. They asked if, I'd be interested in doing a podcast. He's like, oh yeah, man, you should. That'd be awesome. And I was like, yeah, they want me to do a podcast on you. And all day Saturday, man, I had him convinced that the podcast was just it was about him.
Like a hit job.
At the end of the day, I had to tell him, and I think at the end of the day, he was actually a little sad that it wasn't about him. Throughout the day, he was like, no, it's not. No, it's not. And I'm like, no, it is, man. I don't know. Is there anything you don't want me to say or anything you want me to say? And then at the end of the day, I'm like, I'm just kidding. It's not about you. And he's like,
he was starting to warm to the idea of it.
Hey, there's more than falconry. There's more to falconry than me, Nah, but hilarious. Yeah, that's funny.
I bet he was sorry, Aaron. I bet he was a really good sponsor, though.
He was a great sponsor. He really is, he's so passionate about it. That
I love the idea of living with your birds, keeping them close to you like that. I think it's great.
We one time I mean, I don't know whether you guys edit this stuff or not. I don't know whether this will go on there and if it whatever, but he had this red tail one time that someone had transferred to him, and we got back to his house, and he lived in a really small house at this time too, maybe 800 square feet or something. And we opened up the door, and right away, you could just sense that something was a little bit off, something was a little bit wrong. And we're like, oh, wow. And then next thing you know, it's like, wait, something's off. What is this? And his red tail tethered to the perch and all, the cat just got too close. And his red tail grabbed the cat and killed the cat and was eating the cat. And we were awesome. On like a fire drill mission, man, to clean things up, because his wife and the girls, which at the time were probably 10 years old, were on their way home shortly behind us. And man, he had his whole family thinking the cat got eaten by coyotes for years until it was safe to come clean.
Wow, I would have kept that bird for the rest of his life.
Oh, man.
That's a great story. That's an amazing story. Is there any pictures or videos we could look at?
Ooh, Casey would love that. Casey wants some like old Polaroids or something.
Yeah, that one. I don't think there was any documentation of that one. That was one of them. That was one of them things that wasn't cool until like 2 years later. Not cool. Cool's not the right word. It wasn't like
something to discuss.
Something that was talked about until years later.
I think my last goshawk was a little because she was raised. She lived 100% in the house. She saw cats her whole life because I have 2 house cats. And I think that being around those two house cats kept her from being serious about trying to hit them in the field. Like when we go out in the field and we'd flush a feral cat, she would go after him because I just don't think they can resist a running cat. She would go after him, but she would just kind of like, I don't know, like half-heartedly like chase behind him. And she could have caught him, no problem. So I'm really convinced that it's because she was used to having him in the house with her.
Yeah, well, for sure. I'm sure it's the same thing with you guys, you guys and your Dachshunds and stuff. I had a female red tail one time that I was hunting with Kevin Bousselet, and he had I don't know whether he had his Goss at that time I think he had his Goss at that time too. And we were hunting. He's like, oh, there was some really thick brush. And he's like, you want to run the dog with your red tail? I was like, I don't know, sure. But he's never really, it was a female red tail. I'm like, it's never, if you want to, sure. Man, that red tail hit his dog twice. We had to pull that bird off of his dog twice. And to what you're saying, Aaron, that I think they get used to the stuff that they're around. And if they're not used to it and it's running around breaking cover of the brush pile or something, I think those things, sometimes they get it before they realize what it is that they've even gotten.
Mm-hmm. No, I think you're absolutely right.
I had a red tail get a mink one time. That same bird got a mink.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, I mean,
we had another guest that had that happen. Tell us about your situation.
Oof, man, it stunk. I didn't realize how stinky minks were.
She said the exact same thing. Oof. Tell us about it. How did it happen?
I was, I was flushing rabbit in this area that was, had some lowlands, some pretty wet areas, and I was pretty new to falconry at the time. It was my apprentice. It was the bird I was apprenticing with, and I was just flushing rabbit, and I was crawling around. I had to duck underneath some thick stuff to get to part B of the briar patch, and in doing so, I just kicked out a mink, and I didn't even realize that I kicked out a mink. I seen the red tail go down, and you're just kind of waiting for the telltale squeal to know whether your bird got something or not. And I didn't hear anything, so I just chalked it up to the bird not getting the rabbit. And by the time I got out from untangling myself all up and got out of the briar patch and went over and found my bird to try and get him back up in the tree, he was on something, and I was like, what the hell is this? And yeah, it was a mink, and it sucked because the mink had a hold of the tarsus on one leg, and the bird had a perfect headshot, and they were both just like, it was like a fucking stalemate. And until I dispatched the mink. But
how'd you do it?
I had a stick that I was using to beat brush that had a sharp point on the end. I was, it was like I said, I was still doing my apprenticeship and was kind of urged not to necessarily use knives and stuff until whether it's ever a good idea or not, but it can be really dangerous with your birds, having knives and things. So shy of cutting the head off the thing, how'd I do it? I had this stick, and I basically just shoved the thing into the head of this mink until its mouth opened up enough to get the tarsus of my bird's leg out of his mouth. And then I shoved the head even further down into the dirt, and it wasn't pretty and it wasn't quick, but I'll tell you what.
You still have?
I'll have a better approach next time. We'll say that.
Did you do anything with the fur or the skull?
A sharp stick in the eye is really the answer to your question.
Caveman style. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
Did you do anything with the body? Did you keep anything?
The mink?
Yeah.
No.
You don't strike me as the type of guy who keeps stuff.
No, not I did it one time, but there's not a whole lot of room for me to keep things now. It's
I'd keep the fur. I'd keep the skull. I might even mount the thing.
yeah. Well, like I said, I was still learning falconry at that time, and they've got that. What do you call it? The let it lay or leave it be or
Let it
whatever
lie.
the hell it is.
Leave it be. That's good.
Leave it, yeah.
Believe it be.
So at that point, I didn't know whether I'd get in trouble if I came walking out of the woodlot with a mink, and so I just kind of was tired of smelling it, and again, I don't know. At that point, I was like, it's like having a skunk that's all sprayed up, and I just was like, I was over the whole situation. I'm like, let's get the hell out of here. So no, I didn't do much with it.
How much damage?
I half buried it, when I was dispatching it.
Yeah, and
shoving its head into the ground.
You buried its skull in the ground when you were.
Yeah. So
how much damage was done to your red tail?
There was nothing, surprisingly. It was on the Jess, and I don't think it was the red tail had a really good headshot, and I don't think the mink ever really got into like chomping down on it. I think it was more of just a defense mechanism. It wasn't. It was just so close that he just grabbed whatever was in front of his face, and it happened to be the tarsus. But it wasn't in a. I don't think it was so much in a fight back kind of way. I think it was just like, what the hell is going on? This is right in front of my face. He put it in its mouth, but I don't think he had. He did no damage was done. No, nothing. Thankfully.
It's good. Yeah, because they're a tough animal, like extremely tough. I heard a story of a run-in with a weasel and a Harris hawk, and those things can put up quite a fight, and then they're very hard to kill because they can like hold their breath, and they're like you can't choke them like a squirrel because the way their throat is. So like even if you put all your pressure like on its throat, like you're choking it, it's still breathing perfectly fine. It's so weird.
Yeah, well, that's what led me to the sharp stick in the eye was the mink squeeze wasn't doing it,
They're built like a squirrel. You would think that would work, huh?
I mean,
they're lanky.
They're tough things.
Yeah, and mink are like semi-aquatic. Basically, they're like a polar bear where they make their living in and around water. So I would imagine that they could, hold their breath for quite a while, even if you tried to, do the old squeeze. Squirrels, they're stupid. They just like, you ever caught a squirrel in the water? Like your bird could catch it in the top of a tree and fall into a puddle, and the squirrel is dead in like 5 seconds. The squirrel's dead. It's so weird.
Really?
They don't know to hold their breath. They just like suffocate. Like they just breathe water in and out till they die. It's crazy.
I think birds will use that to their advantage too.
The water?
Yeah. Oh yeah. I have a video that it looks like my bird like deliberately lands on the ground and then like jumps in a puddle with the red tail. And Phil saw it with another bird, that Karen bird. I didn't see it, but she caught it. And then when I got there, they were in a puddle. And Phil was like, dude, she dragged it in the puddle. And I'm like, no way. So wow. I think they know that like when they get in the water, like it just like suffocates it.
Phil's a liar though.
Yeah. Phil, well, you're a liar. You're a liar. Phil's the best.
That's the case with the kestrel too. You get starling taking baths and stuff, and I'd imagine in the wild that'd be one of the only ways that the kestrel would, if it did choose to get a starling, would be able to even kill the thing.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like when they're taking a bath and they're all vulnerable and wet, just smoke them.
Yeah.
I had a
just
question.
Just hold their head underwater for a little bit.
Before we get too far, I wanted to ask this. I mean, we're way past at this point. What else have you caught, as far as game species go with those micros? Have you pushed the envelope at all?
Dude, nothing he can talk about. Come on, what kind of question is that?
Well, I know somebody I think they caught a couple pigeons with a kestrel.
Really?
Yeah. That's
Man,
like, about
maybe a female or something, but I mean, hunting starling with a male kestrel is about pushing the envelope as much as you can. I'm sure you could like you said, get them on something else. But no, that's really it. Just starling is really all I focus on with them, just to just to make it a little bit easier when you throw them out the window too, so that they're a little bit more focused on actually what it is that they're going for, because there's a lot of birds out there and they're not all undercover and stuff. And I don't want to slip my bird on something and then just have it instantly check off and like going after something else. So I really try and just drive the starling thing home to them, because that's really my focus with them. So nothing else other than starling. Like I said, the kestrel had some sparrow when he was young, just getting his feet wet, learning how to hunt a little bit and stuff and get his confidence up, rather than just throwing him right in the ring with a starling. But other than wild game, just starling with them.
Yeah. Do your birds exist off of starling alone? Like feed?
No, they exist a lot off of it. I feed them a lot of quail too, because starling, again, my situation's not totally ideal in the camper, and starling, they're good tirings and stuff, but they got some meat on them. They got some breast meat and all for sure. But I'll usually, my birds just make such a mess in the camper if I throw them a starling or something, and just to give them like the breast of a starling, I'll feed them all the birds that they kill. The freezer's always full, and I go through everything that they catch, but it's a lot of quail and starling pretty much. Mice once in a while, but I gut them just because I don't want them flicking mice guts all over the place. The airstream that I have, unfortunately, has carpeted walls, which also isn't too fun when they start throwing things around, because it's really a pain. So most of the food that I give them, I'll give them some feathers and stuff for casting material and that sort of a thing. But I'll usually try and, I gut the starling, gut the quail, do all that. Usually I'll skin it too, for the most part, just so that I don't have shit all over the place. I'll throw them a full starling or something outside when I've got an hour or something to let them just feed up and pluck at the thing for a while. But with those micros, it's not like you can leave them unattended. Not any bird you really can't leave unattended, but those small birds certainly got a lot more things to worry about than the bigger birds. So if I got an hour or something where I want to just sit outside and chill, I'll put the bird outside on the perch and throw it a full starling and let it just, mess around with it, play with it, get some tiring going. But yeah, usually just quail and starling.
Are there any starlings that you throw back, like throw away, due to them like being gross?
No. I use them.
Nasty ass.
I use them all. Every now and then I'll get a soft spot in my heart, and if
no, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about the gross ones, like with
if I've staked one out a handful of times for a baggie and something goes wrong or whatever, right? Sometimes I'll just let them go, but that's only if I've got a handful of other ones to do what I need to do. That's not a common thing, but yeah, no.
Casey, what do you think about that?
I think you got to get your levels checked if you're letting stuff go. No, I feel bad for baggies every now and then, especially rabbit baggies. I remember when I was young, and Phil would make me take the baggie on the string, for one of the many passages or imprints to do a bag. And I would like look down at it, and it was like looking up at me. And he's like, "Hey, go put it under the bush." I'm like, "Sorry, little guy. I got to do what I'm told."
Yeah. Yeah. I hate doing baggies.
No, it's not fun, man. Yeah, baggies should only be done, just to get them going. I shouldn't be doing them all the time.
As little as possible.
Yeah.
Pure necessity. But then you tell yourself, right? Hey, if you're not going to do what's in the best interest of the bird, then you leave it in the wild, right? So sometimes you just got to do it. And
I mean, the parents give them baggies.
What's that?
the parents give them baggies.
Yeah, that's right.
You know?
Yep.
What kind of close calls have you had with those micros?
Really, well, with the kestrel, I've been pretty fortunate. I'm surprised I've had them as long as I have. I've flown them for 3 full seasons, really hard, and I've never had any encounters with coops or anything, which is fortunate because that just seems like a given, especially because a lot of the spots where I'm flying this kestrel is, on people's bird feeders and stuff like that, which, they're always lurking, those Cooper's hawks. But thankfully, really the only close calls I've had with the kestrel is automobiles, and it's not on slips. It's more the bird is so made now to me that if he misses a slip, sometimes he'll come and land on the roof of the truck before I even am able to turn around and stuff, so he'll fly across, a road or something to get to the truck with, not certainly if I see him up on a power line or something, I don't call him across the street, unless nothing's coming, but sometimes he just comes back on his own without being called, and you really don't have any control over where he's coming from or where you are in relation to where he is. And that's really been probably the closest calls that I've had was just with the automobiles. So that's it. And the Merlin, I do the stuff with the Merlin is much more rural areas. I don't do anything with him nearly as congested as I do with the kestrel, but the kestrels, I don't want to say predictable because they're never predictable, but most times I'm kind of pretty sure of what's going to come of the situation with the kestrel. Not always. Things can always change, and in falconry, as Jim always says, if it can happen, it will happen. So to the best of my ability, I keep the birds out of dangerous situations, and I haven't had any close calls with any other birds of prey, and really automobiles have been the only thing that I've kind of held my breath a couple times, but
usually
I've
it's
been
those
fortunate.
things that can happen. It's always the negative things that can and will happen. It's never like the super cool thing, like, oh, she grabbed a squirrel with both feet.
Yeah,
One
right.
squirrel on each foot.
Yeah, right. Exactly. It seems like it's only the things that you don't want to happen are the ones that you're like, it happened. Yeah.
So earlier when we were talking about mink, it was like the perfect segue because I think Casey said something like they make their living around water. There's something else that made their living around water. Steve Knott.
Yep. He does. He does do a little bit around water. Yep.
He's
a seaman.
He is a seaman.
He's a seaman. I met him at the Jersey meet a couple years ago. I met you there the first time. I saw you both just chilling in the lobby, and I just stopped and made conversation with you. And you'd said you had a kestrel. He said he had a red tail. And then later that night, we were just like schmammered in the lobby. We were we were done. And we went to was it Wawa or something right there?
Wawa.
Yeah, it's a Wawa, and we go in there, and I think the band is CNC Music Factory, and it's like the song is "I Got the Power." You know that one?
Oh yeah.
And it was me and Phil and Steve, and I really didn't know who Steve was, and he's just standing there, and he goes, "This song is crazy, man."
Yeah. Steve's hilarious, man. He's a very funny. He's hilarious. So funny.
But who got into falconry first, you or him?
I did.
Okay.
I did. Yep.
So you saw him come up?
I did. Ironically, yeah, I did. I wasn't. It was one of the Well, probably the only time when Jim and I had a little bit of a falling out, and that's when Steve had got into falconry. So he was an apprenticeship of Jim's, and at the time I wasn't, we weren't necessarily, in the woodlot together and stuff like that. So it wasn't until a little bit later on that I became involved in Steve's falconry with him, going out and flying his birds with him. But yeah, so I think he's been flying birds. I want to say maybe 6 years, 7 years now. I think something like that. So yeah, he's a real good one to have in the sport. He does a lot of positive things as far as falconry goes. He's a real woodsman also. He likes whatever season it is, whether it's deer season or turkey season or mushroom hunting season or scallop season, clam season, whatever's like available for the taking at that time, he's trying to get his hands on.
So he's a tightwad. He's trying to get free food.
Yeah, and the falconry season is no exception to that. He's out there flying his birds really hard during the winter time.
You were saying when we were just getting on that you've been tuna fishing with him.
Yep. He fortunate enough to go do some tuna fishing with him, so that's a nice opportunity to have. Not everyone gets to do that, and I'm not a big fisherman. I obviously caught some striped bass and did some pond fishing and stuff like that, but guys who do fish, catching tuna seems to be a privilege or a fun thing to do in the fishing world. So when he invites me out to go tuna fishing, I always jump on the opportunity, and by the time we're coming back in, I'm like, oh my God, what are you? Jesus, can't believe people love doing this.
Did you think tuna fishing was fun?
Did I? The actual tuna fishing is fun, yeah, but the 8-hour chug 150 miles offshore, just sitting over top of two obnoxiously loud Cummins diesel engines, it's like, if you're not seasick, you're fucking sick from the fumes and screaming just to have a communication, with one another. And it's like, just by the time you get out there and it's like, great, yeah, shut these engines off. I'm tired of listening to them, and you shut the engines off at nighttime and just kind of do some drifts and some chumming. But that's when you realize that the boat's just rocking all over the place. And, it's like, all right, yeah, turn the engines back on, it's a lot, but let's put it this way. I think it's something you got to get a little used to. And I maybe haven't quite gotten used to it yet.
Oh, it's an acquired taste.
Yeah. And he's been a commercial, he was a commercial fisherman his whole life. So it's, you're going out with somebody who's pretty hardcore when it comes to that sort of a thing. I've never been seasick or anything, which is nice, but maybe it's just, not knowing what to expect, that sort of a thing. Once you do it a handful of times, you kind of know the routine and you know what you're in for, and when the fun times are and when the not so fun times are, and you can just kind of get yourself prepared a little bit more. But no, I can't say it's one of my favorite things to do, but I certainly do it because I have the opportunity, and I'm hoping that it grows on me a little bit.
I bet it's cool to reel in a big old, what? How big were they? Hundreds of pounds?
Yeah, so we've, me anyway, he's caught all kinds of fish, but when I've been out with them, we caught a bunch of bluefin tuna that were all probably, I don't know, 150 pounds, maybe a little bigger than that. You're only allowed to keep one of them, so it's fun catching them, but it's
one per fisherman.
Yeah, one per boat. One per boat. I think you can get there's a few different licenses you can have. You charter license, commercial license, and recreational license or something. I think if you have a commercial license, there's a certain time frame where maybe you're allowed to keep, I think, 3 of them. But no, really, it's just with bluefin, it's just one fish. And they're so big and they fight that to catch them and try and get them off alive, or, so that they're going to survive and be a healthy fish afterwards, it's a difficult thing to do. So bluefin are that way, but the yellowfin, you're allowed to keep, I don't know whether it's as many as you want, or certainly more than usually you can catch. So I've caught a handful of yellowfin tuna with them that were probably maybe between 60 and 80 pounds, which are really nice fish too.
Which ones taste better?
I like the yellowfin, but that's just my personal opinion.
You're the second person that I've heard that from that says that they like the yellowfin better than the bluefin, which is like the bluefin's like the popular one or whatever. You're the second person that said that the yellowfin tastes better to them.
Yeah, I don't know whether it's like a size thing. I mean, the yellowfin are definitely much smaller fish. But I liked the yellowfin. I don't know whether I would say the same thing coming from a fish market or something. Maybe it was just purely the fish that we had caught, because I eat a lot of tuna, and I don't know whether I'd be able to pick the difference if somebody didn't tell me through taste. Visually they certainly look a little bit different, but I like the yellowfin.
What kind of tuna's in the can?
Albacore or longfin, I believe they call it longfin or albacore.
That's the best kind.
Yeah, you like? Yeah,
I love tuna fish. It's like my favorite thing. I don't know why. I love it.
Yeah, you guys ought to come up and go tuna fishing. It'd be stoked to have you guys out. We're actually talking about going Friday, Saturday if the weather window's right. So,
man,
I'd love that.
I'd be willing to try it, but I got a feeling I'd get seasick.
Yeah,
I think Steve might leave me out in the ocean and come back without me.
Nah.
You're like my biggest white shark country out
dude, that's
there.
like my biggest fear in life is like a boat sinking and there's like sharks. Like I would like just kill myself. Like it's so scary to me. It's like one of my biggest fears on earth.
It is one of those things I guess you got to get used to. I know that my first time when I went out tuna fishing with him, he's like, I smell the whales. And I was like, oh yeah, all right, fucking whatever, Then he's like, just look for the whales. And it's just like falconing and so many other things that you devote your life to. You look out there in the ocean and it just seems like this huge, vast body of water that just never ends. And it's like, how the hell are you going to find fish here? But there's all kinds of signs and telltales as to where to go and indications of where fish are and stuff. And when you've been doing it for years and years and years, it's pretty fun going out with somebody like that and just being like, all of a sudden it's like, oh yeah, I smell whales. It's like, oh, you're full of shit, and then 5 minutes later you got like just whales surfacing and spitting up water and all kinds of stuff. It's like, oh, all right, I guess you're not full of shit.
That's crazy. What is he smelling like when the blowhole has like an odor to it?
Yeah, I guess their breath or whatever. Is that their breath when it comes out their blowhole?
Yeah.
So when I was in Alaska, I smelled that shit too.
Really?
We went on a little whale watching excursion, and you could definitely smell.
Yeah.
Man, stop lying, bro. Come on up.
Yeah.
Everybody knows I'm a liar.
No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, I bet it has a musky smell.
Yeah,
it's a strange smell.
I'm
gonna make sure we clip the video of you doing that, Casey. Casey flashing his tongue around.
Yeah.
My dream is to see a great white shark, though. I bet Steve has seen great whites, hasn't he?
Yeah, I'm sure he's seen fish. You do enough net fishing, and I think you pull up all kinds of things in those nets. I don't know what he's seen and what he hasn't seen, but yeah, certainly I'm sure he's seen some great whites for sure.
That's like just terrifying to me.
Yeah, they're like, it's funny. I asked a guy I worked with not too long ago. I was like, would you rather like be in the desert and like have a male lion kind of like stalking you, or would you rather be swimming in the ocean and have a great white like stalking you? And man, it seems like everybody kind of fears the shark for some reason. Not too many people survive great white attacks. I mean, I'm not saying a lot of people survive lion attacks either, but I think I'd take my chances on the ground, maybe just because you feel a little bit more in your element when you're not trying to swim and fight off a beast.
Casey, would you take I know you would take the lion. That's not even a question.
Oh, for sure.
Would you take, you're floating out in the ocean and there's a great white out there, or you're floating out in a swamp and there's a saltwater crocodile out there? Which do you take?
Dude, that's hard.
I'd take the shark.
I can see wrestling a gator of some sort,
A
Casey.
20-foot croc, there's literally nothing you could do about it. The shark, though, I feel like the shark is going to come, he's going to grab you, and then he's going to shake and he's going to rip a leg off, and then you're going to be like, ah! And then you're bleeding out everywhere, and he's going to eat that, and then he's going to come back and keep taking chunks off of you until you die.
I think like the shark is almost like robotic. It may not get you. I feel like the crocodile is going to be like, yeah, he's dead.
Yeah, but when the croc grabs you, he's going to bring you deep under the water to kill you. So like, it's going to hurt, and then you're going to drown, and it's over.
And he's going to do that little log roll thing with you a whole bunch of times.
Well, you'll be dead at that point, and he's going to just rip off limbs, but you'll be dead at that point. Hopefully.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing with sharks, supposedly, is oftentimes they don't kill you because they realize they don't want to eat. They claim that they accidentally bit you.
Propaganda.
You know what I mean?
That's propaganda.
It's like if a lion bites you, man, it ain't saying, "Oh, wrong thing." It's fucking swallowing you whole.
Sharks. That's, I don't believe that. I don't believe that they bite a human and then they're like, "Oh, this is not my intended quarry."
Well, so why else would a great white just bite someone on the hip and let him go and not finish?
I mean, they probably do it in the wild. They probably bite stuff and give it a shake and swim around and kind of like reset themselves and then, then decide if they want it or not. I think if the shark bit you and you kept floating in the water, it would definitely come back and finish you off. It's not like it's just going to leave you alone because you're a human. It's not like an orca or, a killer whale that's like intelligent and like, understands or whatever. Because there's no recorded instances of humans being killed by orcas in the wild, right?
Did somebody get killed recently in the yacht? Then like the
yacht Christian's restoring?
He might be restoring it now.
They were like sinking boats, right?
Yeah, but I guess maybe somebody died in one of those things, but not like, because an orca could absolutely grab you and kill you.
Yeah, and there's like a million videos of guys on like paddle boards in like Hawaii, like jumping off the paddleboard and like swimming around with the orcas, and they're swimming with them and looking at them, and they just.
What about SeaWorld though, Casey?
Only in captivity. Yeah, only in captivity they've killed people. Yeah. They've never killed anybody in the wild.
In the wild, huh?
Yeah.
But they eat the same things that great white sharks eat too. Seals and dolphins and all that.
Yeah, and they eat. It's crazy too. I mean, people probably already know this, but there's pods of orcas that specialize in certain prey items, which is fascinating. There's ones that just target like seals, and they have like, you've seen those National Geographic where they'll make like the wave that pushes the seal off the iceberg. And that's like, they learn that from generation to generation. Then there's others that like just eat salmon, like in like certain areas, on the West Coast. And then there's others that just like, eat sharks and baby whales or whatever.
Have you seen the ones that like beach themselves to grab a seal on the beach and then like roll back in the water?
That's crazy, man. That's nuts. Like you could just be in the water just chilling, and this school bus sized fish, mammal tries to just kill you. It's crazy.
No,
before we get too deep into the rabbit hole on this one, my last apprentice who did, she's a general falconer now. She has her master's in biology. She told me that sharks are not fish. And dude, that blew my mind.
Yeah, they're demons is what they are.
There's something because they're not, their skeletons aren't made of bone, they're cartilage. So they're a fish in the same sense that like a jellyfish is a fish, you know?
Huh.
Or like a dolphin is a fish, you know? Yeah, it's an aquatic animal.
A dolphin's
like
not a fish. They're not even, no, a dolphin's a
exactly,
mammal.
but that's what I'm saying. It's a shark is as much of a fish as a dolphin is a fish. They're shaped like what we think a fish is, but it's not actually a fish in the truest sense.
Yeah, and also the fact that their gills are not they're not I'm trying to think of like the scientific word, but it's escaping me. They don't move by themselves. They have to move to pass the oxygen over their gills, but fish can basically stand still and their gills will open and close and they'll breathe. Sharks have to keep moving to push the water through their gills.
We might have just triggered Jimmy G with this
He's
conversation.
Like, no, they're not. No, it's funny. It's a hilarious story that I don't think either of them will mind. The previous Northeast director and the current Northeast director, John Gilbert and Jimmy G, they got in a very heated debate at the Fanning's house up in Maine about I think it was like a bluefish, like the scientific name or category for bluefish, and it apparently I wasn't there, but I heard it almost went to blows. And now it's like just a big joke, but I just, it's funny. It's just hilarious that the Northeast director and the previous Northeast director, we were both friends now. They got in like this huge debate and now they're buddies. That's like guys though. You know what I mean? You get in a fist fight with somebody and then you're friends afterwards and like they're your friend forever. It's so weird.
Yeah.
It's interesting.
Yeah,
but they didn't fight.
Casey, I think you ended up making out with the last guy that you got in a fist fight with.
It's not gay if you beat the crap out of each other afterwards.
Before or after? Do you kiss before or
before
after?
and after, and then it's not gay.
Gotcha.
He's just like, yeah, it's what we do on the Jersey Shore.
It is what they do down there.
As my son walks in, he's like, "What?"
Yeah.
All right, Christian, I appreciate you coming on, man. Is there anything you feel like we didn't touch on that you'd like to discuss?
Oh man, I mean, it's I appreciate you guys asking me to chat a little bit. It's, again, I'm by no means what would the word be? I'm still learning these micro hawks myself. I'm having a lot of success with the kestrel, but it's only my first kestrel that I've flown, and I'm just getting my feet wet with the merlin. So.
Well, you're making falconry work for your unique situation. And
yeah,
there's a lot of people out there who should be able to relate to this.
Yeah, it was either get into the small birds or stop flying birds because, I don't have a spot for a muse right now, and I still wanted to keep doing it, so I chose to take this route, and I'm having a lot of fun with it, and. Who knows whether once I get out, and into a different place, maybe I'll get back into the bigger birds and stuff. But for right now, I'm really enjoying the small birds, and you just put it into perspective. And I mean, again, with the starling, it's a pretty formidable task for these little birds to get these. It's not like you're out there. Or it's not like I'm out there hunting grasshoppers and tree frogs and stuff with them, So if you can really sort of put it into perspective, and it's just as much a fight for these little birds to get these things as it is for a goss to get a duck or a squirrel or a red-tailed, all of those birds. It's just sort of on a little bit more of a shrunken down version, but. It's pretty fun and I'm enjoying it. So we'll see where it takes me, and hopefully get you guys out there checking it out sometime too. Cause I know that's how a lot of things work. It's hard to sort of, once you see it firsthand, you kind of like, oh, wow. Yeah, cool. That's not exactly what I was picturing. You know what I mean? But yeah, it's fun, and we'll have to get out there sometime. Maybe try and get something going down at the Jersey meet or something. If you guys are both going down there this year, right?
Oh yeah,
we'll be there.
absolutely.
Yeah, just say the word. Yeah, I'd love to. I'd love to come honking with you guys.
Yeah, we'll figure it out. We just got to break up that goshawk posse and
Never.
then maybe. But
The mad rush to limit out on rabbits every day, or your entire weekend's screwed.
Yeah, that seems to be the theme every time we all get together. Is we all want to catch four rabbits a day for some strange reason. It's like completely unnecessary, but it's fun. If you got a bird that's game, why not? But yeah, I mean, you're not that far. You're only a couple hours from me. I mean, Aaron, it'd be a drive, but for me, I mean, we can get out anytime you want.
Yeah, man, it'd be cool to come down, whatever, meet up. I'd love to watch you fly your gosses too. I mean, that's not something that people get to check out all the time, and you doing it with the dogs and stuff. That's a little bit different than even getting to watch the guys that are flying the goshawks up here. They're doing it a little bit different than you guys do also. So I know when I'm down there in Jersey at the meets or whatever, it's always fun watching you guys rally and push woodlots ollies with 30 Datsuns and whatever else it is you guys got going on.
Yeah, it's so much. It makes it so much more fun. It's like not fair, but it's so much more fun.
Yeah,
like a little army of dachshunds just plowing through the woods.
Yeah, I'm surprised you've never brought. Don't you, being a plumber, don't you have like a video camera snake kind of thing? I'm surprised I've never seen you out there sticking that thing down the rabbit hole.
Dude, I thought about that, buying a camera system. I don't own one. I don't do enough drain cleaning to get one, but I don't think it would work as well as you think it would. Because it's meant to just go down a pipe that's smooth, and maybe some debris is in it, but it's not meant to be bouncing over rocks and like roots and stuff. I don't think it would work the way you think it would work.
Yeah,
it might though. It's definitely an idea.
Good content, Casey.
Yeah, it'd be pretty sweet to stick a snake down while Franny's in there and watch her interact with the rabbit. That'd be pretty sweet.
You put it down there and you learn that Franny is just ignoring rabbits while she's down there.
Just hanging out, taking a breather.
Yeah, and I just pull the camera out and just bury her in the hole.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Just kidding. Yeah. Shout out to Franny and her little weird corks that she has. She's got some.
You find Franny just curled up beside a rabbit.
How many dogs you got now, Casey?
I got 2, and I'm working on number 3, but my wife's giving me a little bit of resistance. So,
is that the spaniel Dotson mix or whatever it was?
No, it's called a Sprocker Spaniel. It's a Springer Spaniel and a Cocker Spaniel. It's very popular in Europe. And Tom bred a litter, and they're beautiful. And I went over with rabbit carcasses, dragged them all around. I picked the one that I think I want the most, and one of them, the one that I want and that I'm getting. My wife doesn't realize it yet, but I'm getting it. And she's so pissed because she found out. She saw a video on my phone, and she's like, "What is this?" It was me playing with puppies with rabbits, and then I got busted. But there's a bunch left, and they're both from tremendous lines. So they're gonna be great. It's gonna be great dogs. It's gonna be great.
Yeah.
I don't know what I'm getting myself into with a spaniel of that caliber, real hyper and driven. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I need something that can cover some ground in the field, that will work close and that won't quit. And that's not going to bark every time it smells anything like a beagle. So I think it's just a good fit, and it's, close by, it's inexpensive, and my buddy bred them. So why not?
Yeah, man. And hey, you've been running Dachshunds with your goshawk for a while. Try something new, right?
That's what I'm saying. Yeah, I'm still going to run the Dachshunds. And when me and Tom get out, and he's got the Springer. The Springer is constantly marking holes that are, hot, and the dogs go in. The Springer and the Dachshunds, they work really well together. Really well together. So it could be good. We'll see. Who knows?
Yep.
Pray for me. My wife is not. She's not. I need a miracle. I was just gonna bring it home, but she caught me. So,
so now you're still just gonna bring it home, but You know?
Dude, I'm getting it. I'm like, I'll keep it. I'll bring it to work with me every day. Like I'm trying to like find a compromise, and some women don't like to compromise, to that level. So we're working on it. I don't really, it's whatever. I mean, Aaron's got, how many dogs you got, Aaron?
Just 11.
Yeah, 11. Come on. I want one more. Big deal. We got 2 already. They're kenneled up. They got, they're outside. They got a nice little kennel, food, water, house, all comfortable. Like, what's one more dog? Come on.
That's it. I mean, I got a German Shepherd and 2 Falcons in a 23-foot camper.
Yeah. If you can make it work, I can make it work.
Yeah. Well, but the one thing that isn't in the picture for me, that's in the picture for you two, is wives, right?
Yeah, they at least for me, mine has a tendency to get in the way.
Yeah, that's why I think I can get away with what I'm doing, is because it's basically what I can what I want to do and what I can put up with.
Yeah,
so.
It must be nice.
Yeah, well, I put my time in.
Yeah, I get it. It's just, I don't want to push too hard either,
Yeah, for sure.
Casey, we'll be in Christian's situation one day too.
I think you're saying that to be nice. You're basically saying I'm going to be in Christian's situation. Yeah. Aaron's.
I don't know, with 11 dogs and me today just putting in an order for a Goliath bird-eating tarantula.
Why would you get that?
Because I got problems, bro.
I do. We both. I mean, I can't say no. I want everything. It's hard, man.
As soon as I start breeding them, you're going to have some too.
Yeah, dude. I'm going to be just throwing them at people that piss me off. If my customer doesn't pay me, I'm just going to cut them loose in their houses.
I used to have the Falcon under the cover of darkness pretty much when I was still married. My wife hated the birds, which is part of the reason I never got a kestrel. I always wanted to get a kestrel for my daughter. I got a 13-year-old daughter now, but I always, we all know you can let them hold the red tails and stuff, but there's always that chance of something not good happening. And so I was like, yeah, kestrel would be great for her to play around with and mess around with. And I kept the red tails in the house during the hunting season, and she just didn't want to have any part of the kestrel staying in the house year round. So it wasn't until I got kicked out that I got a kestrel, So world works in funny ways.
As my lawyer likes to say, every disaster is an opportunity.
That's right. It's easy to make decisions when you don't have any, right? It's when you have the choices, It's easy to make, what do they say? It's easy to make choices when you don't have any. It's when you have choices that it's difficult.
Yeah.
What did you say earlier? If you're going to die at 2, you better get busy at 1 or something.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's already happening down there in North Carolina, though, ain't it, Aaron?
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah. The only saying that I live by is it's better to ask for forgiveness than permission.
Yeah.
In life and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amen, brother.
That one's pretty good.
Yeah, especially for falconry. I mean, it depends on what state you live in, because some states you could lose your life with that with that mindset. But up here, it's just going to be some fruity tooty, hobby farmer that's going to say, "Get out of here!" I'm saying, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
You're bothering my nuts.
You're bothering my organic kale."
You're like, "Oh no, I put my bird up like 3 miles away. I'm just trying to get it back now." I'm
flying a non-binary organic bird that's non-GMO. Oh, really? Up here it's better. But down by Aaron, you'll just get shot in the face if go past the purple, dude. You're done. You see
those purple blazes. Watch out for
purple
them.
blazes, man. They don't play. Up here, it's like
watch out.
Here they get mad and stuff, but 9 times out of 10 is once they realize you're just flying a bird around, they're like, "Oh, all right, well, yeah, get out of here." But if you want to come back, and ask permission next time.
Yeah, right.
People down here lose their mind, man. Lose their mind.
Yeah, I mean they do up here too. I'm not gonna say they don't. I had the cops calling me a bunch of times. You know what I mean? But usually it's the cops are like, "Whatever, just get out of here." They don't make a big deal about it.
You run into a lot of problems down there, Aaron?
Do I run into a lot of problems?
Yeah.
No, I don't. But I tread pretty carefully. I know where I have a good idea of where I can go and where I can't go. Up in Jersey, they go anywhere they want. Here, you got to go places that are you either have permission to be there or it's not owned by like an individual.
Right.
You know, so if it's owned by like a property development company or an LLC or something, and it's adjacent to like a retail place or something like that, then you pretty much don't need to worry about it. But you do not look on X and see like, you know, Casey Everett owns this. You don't go there.
Yeah, right.
Especially if Casey Everett owns it.
Hell no.
Yeah,
and that goes for up here too. Like if it's a private little patch and you can see that the person like takes care of it, like probably avoid that spot. But yeah, if it says LLC or like development corporation, like I am purposely now going to go back and just destroy that spot and catch everything there because you're going to bastardize it anyway. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's different. And Aaron's in a unique situation because he can use like his psychology, like Jedi mind tricks to like manipulate the people he runs into. Like
his guidance counselor skills.
He's like, he like makes them like it's their idea. They start apologizing to him for being on their property.
Right.
You know, and then they just put the deed of their house in his name and then just give him money and he leaves.
Give me their daughter.
Yeah. He just leaves with gifts and trinkets and goats and stuff. Anyway, all right.
Yeah.
That's
anyway.
Enough. All right.
All right, Christian. Appreciate it, man. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, man. Hey, guys.
Thanks, Christian. It was a pleasure having you on, man. It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Hope you guys are doing good and we'll talk soon.
You got it.